In case you haven't noticed, the Wii U Virtual Console has been on a roll lately. In 2014, Nintendo and their third parties published a total of 72 games, including titles for the Nintendo Entertainment System, Super NES, and Game Boy Advance. Now that Duck Hunt has finally hit the eShop, it's time to look back at the top 10 Virtual Console games of 2014.
Number 10.
Mighty Final Fight didn't get as much attention as its Super NES brother, but I would argue that this Nintendo Entertainment System game is better. You play either Hagar, Cody, or Guy, roaming the streets of Metro City beating up cartoony gang members. Instead of trying to recreate the arcade experience, this game adds a number of new ideas, including a leveling up system. Best of all, the game reworks the boss battles in a number of incredibly inventive ways. And since it was largely ignored upon release, there's a good chance you haven't gone through Mighty Final Fight.
Number 9.
Haven't heard of Ufouria the Saga? Well, it's probably because Sunsoft didn't bring it to the United States. But don't let the unusual name and weird-looking characters keep you from experiencing what is essentially a cross between Super Mario Bros. And Metroid. It's all about exploring a fascinating 8-bit world and picking up items that unlock other parts of the open environment. Despite only running a couple hours, there's a surprising amount of variety and a lot to do and see in Ufouria the Saga.
Number 8.
Forget the other versions of Double Dragon 2, because this reworked NES game is a masterpiece. Not only is it the best version of the Revenge, but it's also the best game in the series. The developers have introduced a number of intriguing elements, including explosive cinemas and traditional 2D side-scrolling elements. The levels are also really cool. Just look at the staging in this dramatic airplane fight.
Number 7.
There were a staggering 8 Mega Man games released on the Virtual Console in 2014. 8. Unfortunately, most of them were the often maligned later chapters like Mega Man 5, 6, and 7. Of the 8 releases, Mega Man X2 was the best. Sure, it largely refines what worked in the first Mega Man X game, but that's more than I can say about Mega Man X3, which suffered from simply repeating the formula. Mega Man X2 is a gripping adventure that adds a few important twists to the formula and features some of the series' most memorable boss characters. But no matter how good this game is, maybe Capcom can cool it on the Mega Man re-releases in 2015.
Number 6.
The original Ninja Gaiden is the perfect marriage between fast-paced action and storytelling. It's also one hell of a ride, full of memorable bosses, cool power-ups, and a wall cling that's easy to exploit. Sure, Ninja Gaiden is unmercifully tough, but it's also rewarding and still looks great. And of all the games that made the top 10, Ninja Gaiden has the best soundtrack. Now, bring on the dark sword of chaos.
Number 5.
2014 brought an avalanche of Game Boy Advance games to the Wii U Virtual Console. While this is certainly a weird fit, it did bring a lot of great games to the platform. My favorite of the bunch is WarioWare Inc., Mega Micro Games, which was shockingly original when it was first released and still remains unparalleled. With dozens of mini-games that only last seconds, WarioWare is a game that's constantly throwing new things at the player, and many of the stages pull from Nintendo's rich history. The fact that this isn't number 1 is a testament to just how great 2014 was.
Number 4.
The final chapter in the Gargoyles Quest trilogy, Demon's Crest, is a stunning action game that is every bit as good as Super Ghouls and Ghosts. This 1994 game is also one of the best-looking 16-bit games of all time. There's also a surprising amount of depth, with mild role-playing elements and incentives to replay the diverse stages. Doesn't hurt that Firebrand is a blast to control, especially when you get good at the hovering ability. Demon's Crest is one of my favorite Super NES games of all time, and a real contender for the top spot on the Virtual Console.
Number 3.
Dracula's Curse doesn't get enough credit. Despite being one of the best reviewed 8-bit games of all time, most people seem to remember Castlevania for Symphony of the Night, Lords of Shadow, or the countless Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS entries. But Dracula's Curse gets it right, by giving players a choice between multiple characters and letting them loose in a series of expertly crafted stages. Forget Rondo of Blood. Dracula's Curse is the best non-Metroidvania Castlevania game.
Number 2.
Once again proving just how great 2014 was for the Virtual Console, here's The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. While everybody else loves Ocarina of Time, this Super NES game is my favorite of Link's adventures. It has a deceptively simple design that builds on all of the elements that made the original Legend of Zelda so memorable. It's impossible to start the game and not be immediately sucked into the fully realized world. It's a masterpiece.
Number 1.
In a year full of major games hitting Virtual Console, none can top Super Mario Bros. 3. Of course, it really wouldn't have mattered what you tossed up against the sequel, because it is my opinion that Super Mario Bros. 3 is the best video game Nintendo has ever made. While many will point to Super Mario World, I prefer the level designs and power-ups found in Super Mario Bros. 3, not to mention the endless parade of hidden areas. This is a perfect game, and the best way to kill time between Wii U releases. But really, just between you and me, loosen up a little bit and buy more than one Virtual Console game a year. Do you agree with our list? Do you think we should have included Metroid Fusion, Dr. Mario, Super Mario Kart, Duck Hunt, or one of the many other games that didn't make the top 10? Leave a comment and let us know. We'll be back shortly with the best 3DS Virtual Console games of 2014, so definitely hit the subscribe button and start placing bets on what you think will top our list.